We would like to welcome everyone to the Collinsville Hall of Fame 2025 induction ceremony. I'm Superintendent Brad Skirtich, and it's a privilege to be here before all of you this evening. We have an exciting night ahead of us. On behalf of the Board of Education and our entire district, thank you for attending this evening's ceremony. We are excited to welcome another outstanding group of alumni, community members, and former staff to the Collinsville Hall of Fame. Before we begin, I want to recognize Mark Alvers for creating tonight's videos. Mark is seated somewhere over in that area. In the back, Alex Conley is navigating our electronics. Thank you, Alex. We always appreciate your efforts. V. Kim Collins is off to my far left for putting together the media and press releases. Thank you, Kim. Jan Marie Harmon for the beautiful programs you see in front of you. I will say this because my parents are diehard Barnum and Bailey fans, Barnum and Bailey Circus fans. So we had the vision of making it look like the Barnum and Bailey Circus when we first created these, and Jan hit it a home run. And then before I begin, I also want to thank Susan Freckman, who has stepped away, so that's what I knew she would do that. But Susan takes care of a lot of tasks behind the scenes that go unnoticed, and I can't say thank you enough to her. And then also I want to give a shout out to our Hall of Fame committee members. They have a lot of difficult decisions to get us to where we are tonight. And I think the greatest compliment that I could give them is they butt heads, they argue, they don't always agree, but at the end of the day, they look at the nominations and they make tough decisions. And I think by the group you see tonight and the previous two groups before tonight's induction class, they've worked hard and done a great job. So thank you to the Hall of Fame committee members. The purple and white flowers displayed on stage serve as a tribute to those who are unable to be with us. Before we proceed, please join me in a moment of silence to honor Hall of Fame members, inductees, family, friends, and others who have passed away and are unable to join us this evening. Please bow your heads in a moment of silence. Thank you. Our district is incredibly fortunate to have steadfast support from our communities, businesses, and families. This unwavering commitment helps our students, both past and present, excel in the classroom and thrive in extracurricular activities. Together, we are shaping well-rounded individuals, equipping them to navigate the challenges of adulthood, embrace the value of service, and pursue lifelong success. This evening, we proudly welcome 8 individuals and 2 teams into the Hall of Fame. We are honored to recognize these outstanding alumni, community members, and staff members, share their legacy of our school district, celebrate our school district, but also inspire current students by highlighting the achievements of those who once walked our hallways before them. Tonight, we honor our past, celebrate our present, and show our students what can be achieved both now and in the future. Now it is time to welcome Mr. Clay Smith, our athletic director and Collinsville High School class of 1995 to the stage. Clay is one of the most passionate and dedicated educators in our district, and we are fortunate to benefit from his energy and enthusiasm each and every day. His commitment to our district is unwavering, and we deeply appreciate all of his hard work in making tonight's event a reality. He truly bleeds purple. Please welcome Clay to the stage.
Thank you to Dr. Skirtich. Thank you to our Board of Education. Thank you to our community. And thank you to everyone attending tonight to support the Kahok Hall of Fame. What an incredible evening to come together and celebrate the extraordinary achievements of some truly remarkable individuals. Tonight, we gather not just to honor success, but to spotlight the pride, history, and traditions that have driven these individuals to reach heights we all aspire to achieve. As I look around this room, I see a community packed with talent, determination, and potential. Each of you plays a part in shaping a future where greatness isn't just an aspiration, but a shared commitment. The 2025 induction class reminds us that the path to success isn't always easy, but it's always worth it. The stories are proof that when you dare to dream, embrace challenges, and stay true to your passions, you can achieve the extraordinary. I take great pride in my work at Collinsville High School as athletic director. I want to continue the traditions that have been passed down to teach our current students about the accomplishments that who came before them. Our students, grades K through 12, need to hear these stories so that one day they will dream of wearing the purple and white and carry on our strong Kahok culture in the community and in the hallways of the schools that they attend. Tonight, we have tables full of CHS students helping with the event and others attending as guests. They have the great seats all the way back in the corner. Kahawks, I want tonight to serve as a reminder that your dreams are valid, your efforts matter, and your potential is limitless. Let this celebration ignite a spark within you to chase your dreams. Let the stories we share tonight inspire you to take the next step to reach just a little bit further in your life. Believe in yourself and the ability to make a difference in and out of the hallways of CHS. Thank you for being here tonight, Kahawks. In closing, I'd like to share a story/quote from Hall of Famers Dr. Fred Riddle and Mr. Bogey Redmond. In 2018, I was lucky enough to attend the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame ceremony when our 1961 basketball team received the Whitey Herzog Award. My good friend Steve Porter, who's in attendance tonight, had the privilege to interview Dr. Riddle and Mr. Redmond on stage. They shared their stories about their dream season, their teammates, and of course, the great coach Virgil Fletcher. They said, Coach Fletcher taught us the value of hard work, discipline, fundamentals, and doing it right all the time. When you do that in athletics and in life, you're going to be winners. And that's what he taught us, to be winners on and off the court. Congratulations to our inductees and their families. Thanks again for being here, for celebrating, and for contributing to this amazing community. Let's make tonight a celebration to remember. Continue to wear your purple with pride, and go Kahawks.
Thank you, Clay. Before we begin recognizing the Class of 2025 Hall of Fame, I'd like to ask all members of the Hall of Fame, Class of 2023 and 2024, that are in attendance tonight, both teams and individuals, please stand. I think the first year I said our Billy Crystal, then I said Johnny Carson. Heck with that. This is just Mark Shusky, and we're darn glad to have him. He does a really good job. We call him the voice of Collinsville. But please welcome Mark Shusky to the stage, a proud member of the class of 1991. His depth of knowledge, enthusiasm, and sharp sense of humor will only enhance everyone's experience tonight. Mark is a dedicated educator, community member who loves this community, and we are thrilled to have him lead tonight's ceremony.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you to both Clay and Brad for their remarks and kind introduction. I'm proud to call them both my colleagues, but also I think more importantly for me, my friends. And I'm very thankful for their leadership of our school district and our community. As Brad said, Clay's enthusiasm is incredible. He makes me prouder to be a Kahawk every time I hear him speak. And I could not imagine working for a better and harder working superintendent than Dr. Skurdich. So thank you both for that. But for tonight's ceremonies, I also want to thank them very particularly because without Brad and Clay, none of us would be here tonight. They are absolutely the driving forces getting the Kahok Hall of Fame started, and now, of course, in year 3, making it a tradition. So I really do think Clay and Brad particularly absolutely need a round of applause from all of us for their efforts. I am thrilled, like I said, to be able to call them colleagues and to be able to participate in tonight's events because of their driving forces. Normally, I wouldn't want to join any club that would have me as a member, but I will absolutely make an exception for this in the tiny, small way that I'm allowed to participate, and I thank those who allow me to participate for year 3 now. We'll see what happens with year 4. I've learned so much from the Kahok Hall of Fame for the previous 2 years and now this one. I've met new and fascinating people. I have reconnected with old friends and acquaintances, and most importantly, I am reminded with each and every inductee how much pride I feel for Collinsville High School, how important it is to be a Kahok, and how so many of our school's graduates accomplish amazing and life-changing feats in so many varied fields and endeavors. I am a proud graduate of the class of 1991. That was the best class. Stacy, anywhere? Yes? Thanks, other 91ers. Not too many of us. I'm a proud graduate myself. I went through from Jefferson on to Collinsville schools. Then, of course, I've come back and spent almost my entire professional life there. It means a great deal to me to bleed purple and to be a Kahok. And even growing up in this town and spending my life working for the school district, the stories I have learned in 3 years about people I didn't know, or I knew their names but didn't know the depths of their accomplishments. Anyway, it has been absolutely amazing to be able to participate and learn, and I hope all of you take some of that away from tonight's events as well. So I feel humbled but also deeply fortunate to stand on the stage and share the stories of a new class of yet more impressive inductees for the class of 2025 tonight. In addition, as mentioned, we do have an impressive group of current high school students from CHS tonight. They will help assist our inductees to the stage. So our students will start to go grab some of the inductees in order of coming up. I'm trying to give a cue to some of our students. They're not taking it yet, but they'll get there. And they'll help our inductees come up to the stage. We do ask our inductees to come up on the stage to my right, up the ramp. We will present you with your award for being inducted into the Hall of Fame tonight. And then if possible, we would ask that you exit to my left, but certainly if the ramp is more comfortable, please do that as well. For the teams, we ask that you stay up on stage. We'll present you with team awards, and then the person selected to speak on behalf of the team, please do so, of course, and then the individuals inducted, please give your remarks here. After your remarks, when you leave, we would like at the end of the evening, all inductees to please stick around for a photo outside with the amazing and incredible Alex Paz. Alex is up here taking photos. Alex loves attention, so everyone should look at Alex right now and probably take his photo. I don't feel like people take Alex's photo enough at all. Anyway, I have to just say, I don't think Alex probably, well, I'm sure he's mortified and will probably say mean things to me later, which I deserve, but his work in this community, his volunteer hours, anyway, just, all of us who are here know what he does. And so, Alex, thank you. You're amazing. So anyway, Mr. Paz will be here taking photos through the night, and then afterwards, for all inductees, if you could stick around, we would love to have a photo in front of the balloons and a sort of official thing. With that is absolutely enough for me. So please, let's get started with our first inductees of the evening tonight. It is an honor for me to be able to introduce the first class of 2025 inductee, an athletic inductee, the 1957 boys basketball team. They were coached. Absolutely. They were coached by Virgil Fletcher and assistant coach Weber, along with team members Bart Basola, Terry Bethel, Terry Dearden, Bob Duhadway, Tom Jackson, Donnie Keel, James Nishwitz, Jim Sulkey, Robert Vetter, Ernie Wilhoit, and Tracy Wilhoit. And we have a video put together by the incredible Mark Alvers highlighting the 1957 team. So gentlemen, if you could turn your attention, and all of us in attendance, to the screens for the 1957 induction video.
The The 1956-57 Collinsville High School boys basketball team finished their season with a hard-fought second-place finish in the state tournament. Their only defeat that year was the 42-45 loss to Heron in the state championship game. With a season of 34 wins and just one loss, the 56-57 Kahawks still hold the record for the most wins of any Kahawk team. Under the guidance of legendary coach Virgil Fletcher, the team included All-American Terry Bethel. Other starters were Tom Jackson, Jim Sulkey, Ernie Wilhoit, and Tracy Wilhoit. Opponents faced a tall order to match up with the skyscraping Kahawks. Their lineup was 5'9", 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", and 6'7". Bethel led the team in height at 6'7" and scoring, averaging 30 points per game.
Collinsville has never had, either before or since, a player of his talent at that level. Could very easily have played guard because he was that agile, handled the ball that well, and in those days a guy 6'6" typically couldn't walk and chew gum. So he was exceptional.
There were many highlights during the 56-57 basketball season. The Kahawks won the Centralia Holiday Tournament by defeating Benton, Heron by 1 point, Alman, Rock Island, and Pinckneyville to capture the title. They were the Collinsville Invitational Tournament champions and were a perfect 12-0 in conference play. In the 1957 Illinois State Tournament, during a nail-biter quarterfinal game against Galesburg, the Kahawks pulled out a 61-59 victory against a previously undefeated Galesburg team to advance to the semifinals. When the team returned after the state tournament, the Collinsville community honored them with a big parade and homecoming celebration in the school gym.
Fantastic support. Quite a day, quite a day. Unexpected on our part when we arrived back in Collinsville to see what was going on. You know, they had convertibles that we got to ride in, and like, man, we were celebrities.
At the end of the season, Coach Fletcher was to have declared the 56-57 team as the best he had since he began coaching in Collinsville.
This is very unexpected honor. You just heard me say it was unexpected, the parade that we had coming home. This is even more awesome. I want to thank whoever nominated us for this award, or this evening. I want to tell you how much we appreciate the committee who, through discussions, decided that, yes, they should be part of the Hall of Fame. I also want to mention a person that was a teammate, a basketball teammate, our freshman year. In his sophomore year, he decided to go other directions. As a classmate, class of 1957, he did more for this community than all of us up here combined could ever do. He is the person that was majorly responsible for the building we're in here tonight. He was a 3-term mayor of the city of Collinsville. Our freshman teammate, high school classmate, Gene Brummelich. Give him a hand. Thanks, Gene. I was a very lucky individual because I made the team, but even more important is that I had exceptional athletes and tremendously skilled basketball players surrounding me. Starting with Bethel, who you heard all about, one of only 5 high school players to be named All-American that year. Next to him was 6'5", 230-pound Tom Jackson that owned the boards. Nobody could get around him.
And then there were the amazing Wilhoits. Tracy and Ernie, when we ran the press, they covered people you just couldn't believe. Tracy had hands that were so quick he could take a ball away from somebody before they knew they had it. Ernie was great on defense, but he also very, very great on offense. And then we had backups coming in when we needed them. Bob Vetter, who was an outstanding athlete, not just a basketball player, but he was co-captain of our football team. And he was a pitcher on the baseball team. And that year in the sectionals of the state tournament in baseball, Bob pitched 11 innings. You baseball players don't do that anymore. He pitched 11 innings and struck out 20 people. Then we had a guy named Bart Mazzola. He could shoot the ball. Great guy coming off the bench. We had a lot of points from our bench that year. Of course, the next year he set a scoring record at Collinsville and then went on to play for the Billikens. Then we had a little guy, well, he wasn't very little, but he was a freshman. Didn't get to play a whole lot, but he was important because during the week we had scrimmages. And the scrimmages during the week really make the team as good as it can be. And Jim Nischwitz had to guard Tom Jackson and Terry Bethel. So he learned a lot that year, and next year then he became a regular starter. Anyway, I'm just appreciative that I was surrounded by such great athletes. I would like to recognize some other people tonight. I told you I was lucky when I was also a blessed man because I married a Kahok cheerleader and the most beautiful girl in council, my wife, Pat. I love you, Pat. And tonight I am surrounded by family. Our son came from Florida. He didn't care for basketball. He became a soccer player. And he is still trying to tell me the better points of soccer, that they don't just run up and down that field and kick a ball. Our daughter Tammy, she was a cheerleading coach. One of the great moments of my life was when her cheerleading squad won a national title at Wide World of Sports. And her girls were actually in better shape than the teams they cheered for. Our daughter Tracy is here from Tennessee. She was in the state tournament as a tennis player. Our daughter Terry, who is here tonight, ran track and had the opportunity to run against somebody named Jackie Joyner. So I appreciate all of you being here. Also have grandchildren, my goodness, lucky. Mary, Louisa, Gus, Jordan, Aaron. It's so wonderful to have you here tonight. And we have 3 great-grandchildren, Gianna, Brody, and Lucy. Thank you for being here tonight. Now, as a point guard, Coach Fletcher, and I don't have to say anything other than for 11 years I got to listen to Coach Fletcher. So I was listening to him before I even got in high school. Can't say anything that you haven't already heard, but I also want to recognize Coach Weber, who played for Coach Fletcher in the 40s, and our freshman coach, Coach Mel Paul. They all formed us into what we became. But they taught me as a point guard, my job was to get the offense set up, and then you pass the ball to the guys that shoot. So I'm going to pass the ball right now to a guy that shoots, Bart Mazzola.
Yes, Jim did pass the ball. From my perspective, not often enough. You know, I think back to the beginning of 1957. The townspeople, I think, were aware of the talent that we possess. Jim mentioned it's Terry Bethel, the All-American, Tom Jackson, the Wilhoits. I would point out the Wilhoits, because I believe the coaching of Coach Fletcher, transferred here from Belleville, Illinois. So even back in our day, the transfer portal was alive and well. I had the rather inauspicious opportunity to start the first game that season. Jim had incurred a shoulder injury, and he was not able to start in that opening game. And for me, it was, I would say, unheralded. I had never, ever started even a junior varsity game up until that point. And here I was in the starting lineup. And I think that afternoon, seeking divine inspiration, I think I walked from the north end of Vandalia all the way to St. Peter and Paul, spent a few hours, or minutes rather, and was prepared to go that night. And I'll never forget the opportunity I had. I don't believe I was nervous. I had 3 opportunities in the first half to shoot, and I scored all 3, hit all 3 buckets. So from then on, it was easy. I'd like to think that I asked Jim why it took so long for this induction, and he said, "Well, Bart, he gave me a very succinct answer. He says, "We lost." Yes, we did, but to a great Heron basketball team. We beat them in the Centralia tournament, Christmas tournament. We beat them by a single point, and they had a great ball club. We went in the state tournament. We were rated #1 in the state of Illinois. Elgin was 2nd, Heron was 3rd, so they were highly ranked. And what a great squad. Their names are still emblazoned in my mind. Jim Galdoni, Rich Box, Ivan Jefferson, John Tidwell. I'll never forget them. Great competitors. John Tidwell went on to become an outstanding player at Michigan, all Big Ten player. So in other words, it was just a marvelous opportunity. The reception, as Jim highlighted, was incredible. So we all, and as I speak for my teammates, we are all very much indebted to the opportunity we had to be here, to play for Coach Fletcher, and to opportunities that allowed us to go on to collegiate careers. So speaking of on our behalf, we're very grateful, privileged, and we thank the Hall of Fame for this recognition. Thank you.
Come on, Nischwitz, Jim Nischwitz, you don't have anything to say? Not today. Not today. All right, I'm going to pass this on to Tom Jackson's brother.
I'll go pretty fast. That's a lot to follow. I just want to echo Bart and what Jimmy had to say. Thank you to the committees, the athletic directors, superintendent, and all of the people involved. I did want to thank and try and put a little bit of humanities. I'm glad I told Jimmy the last time he saw me I was tied up in a rocking chair. Tommy was supposed to be babysitting, but I made it out of that and got through this. The 57 Kahok team, if you look at the Kahok basketball program over its history, starting with Coach Fletcher's 4th place finish in 1950, you take the next 3 decades, a lot of people believe that this team and these guys, they were the kind of the alpha and the omega, or the beginning of the Kahok dominance. The 57 team, they've held up well on records in the program. Terry's still, Bethel's in the top 5 in scoring, and Tom has the rebound record for a season, and a couple behind Parker. The players they had, they complemented each other, and they were friends. Friends afterwards. My brother's best friend in that team was Tracy Wilhoit, and we all lost Tracy way too young. It was kind of a tragedy, but we go past these things. Ernie's grandson was talking to me tonight, and I got to talk to him. The records the team set, they were wonderful, and the myths and the legend about them, I think they set the table. They not only lost the championship game, they lost the mythical national championship that the 61 boys won. In Collinsville's record, you get to the 1,000 wins and go to the Naismith Hall of Fame. These guys, their 3 years, they contributed 77 wins, and that's a fourth in the history of the program. There's several guys tied with that and better, but I remember them as a lot of people may not, especially our young Kahawks. They built teepee. This class did. Their life was sock hops and dances, and nobody had a car. Cell phones weren't invented, and they were pretty loyal to each other. I learned a lot from them over the years, seeing them and having the chance to share with them. But they are worthy that they laid down something that I think a lot of people would agree set the table for them. And the last two to thank is Coach Fletcher. They've talked about, but my brother was very loyal to him. The '56 Edwardsville team. We lost to them by 4 points in the regional final up at Alton, and they went on to finish second at state. My brother told me that several of the players, when they talked after that, they knew they were going to be really good next year. Coach Fletcher didn't want a lot of braggarts and stuff, but they had a sense they were going to be a pretty good ball club. But those two players, Manny Jackson and Governor Vaughn, went on to the University of Illinois. And when the '57 team graduated, Terry did not go there, and my brother went to another university. And Coach got a lot of grief for that. It was unfair, too. But he told my brother and them, go to the college you want to go, do what you want to do. He was so loyal to his boys. And I never was lost on that and saw that. We also had one other guy, these are Hall of Fame people, but Mr. Solke, Jimmy's father, was the finest statistician that you ever saw. He was dedicated and loyal on that bench. The information he gave Coach to dissect and teach the players, it was very helpful. All of those people were part of it, and I'm privileged I can't be part of that, but I can speak on their behalf. All their players and team, we thank everybody. God bless you all.
Just so you're aware of who else is up here. Jeff, would you step forward? This is Jeff Wilhoit, Tracy Wilhoit's son. Do you have anything to say? No? The next person is Edie Wilhoit and Mike Wilhoit, Ernie's daughter and son. And the next guy over there, I think you've already seen him. At any rate, I do have one last thing. You heard Bart mention that we played Heron at the Centralia Holiday Tournament where we won the game. And then we played Heron for the state championship where they won the game. I have always wanted a third game. Thank you.
That then takes us to our next inductee of the evening. This is a distinguished inductee, Mr. Al Rubitz. Mr. Albert Rubitz III is a 1946 graduate of Collinsville Township High School. His upbringing in Maryville, Illinois during the Great Depression was focused on family and community. Today, he is best known for his groundbreaking professional career in the international energy sector. During his high school years, Rubitz participated in football, track, and student council. As a junior and senior, he was a staff member of the Chanticleer school newspaper. After high school, he served in the United States Marine Corps before pursuing higher education. In 1953, he earned a Bachelor of Science in Geological Engineering from St. Louis University's Institute of Technology. He went on to complete the Advanced Management and Owner-President programs at Harvard Business School. Rubitz began his career in 1953 as a geophysicist in the exploration department at Continental Oil Company, Conoco. His early contributions included major oil discoveries in Dubai and the largest gas field in Southeast Asia. By age 34, he had been promoted to Chief Geophysicist of International Exploration and Production, where he led oil exploration projects on 6 continents. Eventually, he assumed executive responsibility for Conoco's largest profit center, overseeing integrated petroleum operations across the southern United States. In 1972, Rubitz joined Texas Pacific Oil Company as Senior Vice President. He was promoted to Executive Vice President in 1975, and by 1978 became President and CEO, growing the company's assets from $736 million to $2.3 billion in under 2 years. When Texas Pacific was sold to Sun Oil Company in 1980, Rubitz founded his own enterprise, Rubitz Oil Company, securing $100 million in joint venture funding from domestic and international partners, as well as Wall Street investors. Throughout his life, Rubitz balanced his career achievements with personal passions. He enjoyed riding motorcycles and collecting classic cars. His most prized vehicle was a 1941 Packard convertible. He and his wife, Rose, shared a remarkable 75-year marriage and raised 4 children, Michael, Susan, Sarah, and Barbara. Rubitz's legacy is one of innovation, ambition, and commitment, leaving a lasting impact on his industry and family. And so, unfortunately, Mr. Rubitz is not able to be in attendance tonight, nor is any of his family. But I hope that he would appreciate and find some joy in the fact that we do have a Maryville resident, and he has an autobiography that is phenomenal and spends a lot of time talking about growing up in Maryville when it was a much smaller town than it is now. And so we have a current Collinsville High School student, Ms. Kenna Fisher, who will accept Mr. Rubitz's award on his behalf, as well as give a speech that Mr. Rubitz has written. So Kenna, please welcome to the stage.
As he said, I'm reading his speech on his behalf. It is my honor to join this auspicious group. I'm likely the oldest among the 2025 Collinsville Hall of Famers, as I attended high school during World War II. Students in the class of 1946 figured we'd be heading off to war after graduation, so we were a bit unruly and ready to go off and fight. However, the war ended before we graduated, so with no money for college, I joined the Marine Corps, the #1 fighters in the world. That's where I learned discipline and the conviction that there was no objective we couldn't achieve. That philosophy stayed with me through my years at St. Louis University and during my career as a geophysicist in the oil business. My goal was to be one of the top geophysicists in the company, but setting goals isn't enough. It took hard work, studying every night, taking correspondence courses, and outlining steps to get where I wanted to go before I landed the title and the distinction of being among the youngest to serve as Chief Geophysicist, International Exploration and Production, responsible for worldwide oil exploration activities. There I was, a kid reared in Maryville, Illinois during the Great Depression, too poor to rent a tux for the Collinsville High School prom, who worked his way up to president of a multi-billion-dollar corporation. Not bad for a boy who grew up in a saloon, but that's a story for another time. What my path illustrates is this: hardships teach us self-resilience, serving as a shield throughout life. You can succeed in any job for which you have genuine enthusiasm and a willingness to work a little harder than everyone else. Sure, you'll hit inevitable obstacles during your life. Meet them head on and remember that adversity breeds strength. These are the lessons forged into my childhood for which I am grateful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kenna, for challenging your inner Al Rubitz. I loved it. And once again, congratulations to Al Rubitz, an absolutely impressive Collinsville graduate. Okay, and that takes us to our next inductee of the evening. Our next inductee is an athletic inductee, Ms. Kim Brombelich-Tebow. Since Kim Brombelich-Tebow graduated from Collinsville High School in 1980, she has been considered one of the greatest female athletes in Kahok history. She was a 3-sport athlete with outstanding achievements in volleyball, basketball, and track. In volleyball, her senior year, the Kahawks finished 4th in state. Tebow was named All-Southwestern Conference all 4 years. She was first team All-State her junior and senior years. Tebow played on the first Lady Kahawks girls basketball team. Her sophomore year, the team played only 9 games. Her junior and senior years, the Lady Kahawks played full schedules. She averaged 26 points per game as a junior and 29 points per game as a senior. She was named All-Conference and All-State both of those years. In 1979-1980, she was a member of an AAU basketball team that became undefeated national champions. One of her teammates was future Olympian Jackie Joyner-Kersee from East St. Louis. As a senior, Tebow was named First Team All-American and St. Louis Post-Dispatch Athlete of the Year. Proving her status as an all-around athlete, Tebow had notable success in sports outside of volleyball and basketball. Her freshman year, with no girls' basketball team available, she qualified for state in swimming and diving. And although she didn't join the Kahok track team until her senior year, she qualified for state in the shot put and high jump. Tebow received a basketball scholarship from the University of Illinois, where she played for 3 years. As a point guard, she was known for her versatility and ability to contribute in multiple aspects of the game, including scoring, passing, and rebounding. Her tenure with the Illini was historic. She set a milestone for Illinois basketball and the Big Ten Conference when she became the first woman to achieve the triple-double, a statistical achievement where a player records a double-digit performance in 3 different categories during a single game. She accomplished this feat against Iowa with 15 points, 10 rebounds, and 10 assists in 1982. Other highlights of her Illini career include 43 points in a single game, going 12 for 12 from the free throw line, and scoring 23 points in a triple overtime upset of number 3 ranked Long Beach State in 1982. She completed her education at St. Louis University and had a long career in human resources and compensation until retiring in 2021. Kim Brombelich Tebow was inducted into the Illinois Basketball Coaches Hall of Fame in 2023.
Oh, thank you. And that seems like a lifetime ago. Whew. And if my grandkids look like they're a little confused, it's because they only know me as Grandma. And if I can, let's go back to that 9-game season a little bit that Mark talked about in the video. See, when I started at CHS, there were only 2 sanctioned sports for girls, volleyball and track. So before my sophomore season, or my sophomore year, a few of us girls got together and we went to the school board and petitioned for the girls to have a basketball team. And that was approved. So that's where the 9-game schedule came about. We were told we could have we were told we could have a basketball season, but we didn't have money in the budget for coaches. We didn't have money in the budget for uniforms, and we were told that we had to play at the old high school. But we at least had a team. So about 2 weeks before the season was to begin, we were at the gym, and lo and behold, 2 elementary school teachers walked in and volunteered to be our coaches. One by the name of Mr. Darryl Milano, and the other that you might all know, who's here tonight, sitting right here in front, Mr. Dennis Kraft. So thank you, Mr. Kraft. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have even had a 9-game schedule to even start with. I'd also like to thank a few others, a few that aren't here any longer. Mr. Frank Patole, Ms. Jean Wilmore, and another one who's here tonight who had a lot to do with my career, Mr. Bob Hollingshead. He also had a lot to do with a lot of other student athletes at CHS. I'd also like to thank my family, especially my sisters who are here tonight, Becky and Allison, who spent most of their childhood being drugged from gym to gym, but always did it with a smile, and are still here supporting me. So thank you. But back to that 9-game schedule. We did finish 5-4 that year, wearing our volleyball uniforms. And we did end up getting an 18-game schedule the next year, but still no uniforms, and still playing at the old high school, but at least we were playing. But in fact, I did get a new basketball uniform. And I did play one game in the new gymnasium. And it happened to be my last game I ever played in Collinsville. And it was the Illinois-Missouri All-Star game. And yes, we did win. So in closing, not only do I have six grandsons who are great athletes in their own right, but I also have 4 granddaughters to be on the lookout for. I have one playing soccer, one playing softball, one playing volleyball, and one that's actually a junior Kahok basketball player. So the future is bright. So thank you very much.
Hey, thank you very much. Very exciting. I think you were told there was no budget 10 years after Title IX. I don't know. You can go back and do anything about that. But with that said, and thank you one more time to all of our sponsors, many of whom I know I've seen here tonight as well. So thank you for your generosity and support of this event. With that said, we are ready for our next inductee of the evening. Our next inductee tonight is a distinguished inductee. That is Mr. Jim Herron. When James Herron graduated from Collinsville High School in 1962, he could not imagine his future career as a local photographer who would capture decades of historic moments for the St. Louis Cardinals. Jim had an interest in architecture and attended Chicago Tech after high school. He was hired by Grayson Robinson Company to distribute photographic goods to retail stores and other entities, including the St. Louis Hawks basketball team. Eventually, he began taking some photographs for the team. Starting to realize his interest and skills in photography, Jim opened his own business in Collinsville. Soon, Herron Photography began receiving calls to do portraits and weddings, a service he would continue to provide to local families for more than 40 years. Around 1968, he started taking sports pictures for the CHS yearbook. Herron continued to photograph CHS teams, athletes, and graduates until his retirement.
When you look at the sports he loved, I mean, he worked with all the major sports, celebrities, all kinds of things. His favorite sport of all time is Collinsville High School basketball.
Kahok sports was first and foremost his favorite, and he loved to watch high school sports, particularly basketball. He was a big fan of high school basketball.
I remember every year around Christmas time, that date book had dates marked off in it, and that was the Collinsville Holiday Basketball Classic. And those days were untouchable.
He never blocked his calendar for anything. He blocked his calendar for that.
My dad would spend the days down there watching all high school teams, but he loved Collinsville High School basketball.
In July of 1971, the St. Louis Cardinals were starting a new group sales program and contacted Jim to provide photographic services. This was the start of his 44-year relationship with the team.
They were looking for a photographer. Well, the guy that they picked out just didn't pan out with him down there. And Joe called me on the phone and he said, "Got news for you. Come on down." He says, "You're a new photographer." And I thought, oh my gosh, I don't have the equipment. I don't have, wait a minute, I gotta think about funds here. Everything hit me at one time. And so finally I thought, what do I got to lose? So I was always an adventurous guy anyway, so I just went out and spent a ton of money. Got some lenses going down there, and I never dreamed that I did it 44 years.
During his long career, Herron photographed celebrities, political figures, celebrations, stadium events, press conferences, spring training, game day action, team photos, and individual players. He had the honor of photographing the 2009 All-Star Game at Busch Stadium, as well as numerous playoff and World Series games. Herron was invited to travel with the 2006 World Series team to the White House for recognition as world champions. After 3,000 regular season games, 9 managers, 3 World Series championships, 4 National League titles, an All-Star game, and millions of photographs and memories, Jim Herron announced his retirement at the end of the 2014 season. At retirement, Herron and his family were honored with a special celebration at Busch Stadium. In 2003, Herron was awarded the Harry Midhour Good Guy Award from the St. Louis Baseball Writers Association. In 1994, the CHS Athletic Department awarded Jim with an honorary letterman's jacket for years of service to the CHS sports program. He was recognized with the Collinsville High School Alumni Achievement Award in 2016. And accepting on Mr. Herron's behalf tonight is his son, Mr. Tim Herron.
Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, and fellow Hall of Famers, it is with immense gratitude that I stand here before you this evening to accept this prestigious award. On behalf of my father, Jim Herron, as I look around this room, filled with so many talented and dedicated individuals, I'm deeply honored to represent my dad and to acknowledge his incredible contributions. I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to the members of the selection committee for recognizing his work and considering him worthy of this honor. Jim Herron was a lifelong resident of Collinsville, Illinois. He was born in 1944, graduated Collinsville High School in 1962, married Gail Wrigley in 1966, and had 2 children, myself and Jackie Vest. He was an active member of St. John's United Church of Christ, supported several community organizations, and was an avid Kahok fan. When he would travel around the country, whether it was for vacation or business, people would ask, where was he from? He would not say the St. Louis area, he would proudly say Collinsville, Illinois. He loved working for the Cardinals, but had just as much passion for his Collinsville photography studio. He liked his work because he viewed his success not only as the pictures that he produced and delivered, but through the relationships he was able to build with the people of the community. He spent a lot of time getting to know his customers, and that led to generational business from them. When I'm out and about in the Collinsville area, people still tell me how my dad photographed their weddings, their pictures, family photos, as well as their kids and grandkids' life events. Remember when, as a family, everywhere we went in Collinsville, people went and talked to him. There was no such thing as going out in Collinsville and having a quick trip. Jim Herron dedicated his life to capturing moments of time and memories through his photographs. His unwavering commitment to this was displayed because everywhere he went, he had a camera around his neck. If it wasn't there, people probably wouldn't have recognized him. You can still see his photographic work throughout the area, whether it's at Busch Stadium and the Cardinals organization, Council Kahok, archives and yearbooks. Local businesses are displayed in family homes. His legacy lives through the countless photographs and lives they touched. So while growing up, my father would often say to me 3 things that he thought would lead to a successful life. It took me until I was older to fully understand the true meaning of this. First was, he always said to me, if you're going to make a mess, you make a big one. What he really was saying to me was, if you're going to set out to do something in life, you need to give it 100% effort. If you don't give it your best effort, you will never know what your true potential could be. It's okay to fail, but it won't ever fail because you didn't give your best effort. The second thing he would often say to me is, if you're going to be anything in life, be honest. And what I found out was this was not just about not lying, but it was about having integrity in what you do in life. If you promise someone something to someone, you follow through on that commitment and you deliver on it. Be fair and exceed other people's expectations. Do the right thing even when no one is watching. Lastly, the thing he would always say to me was, everybody deserves the same level of respect. I remember watching my dad work at the Cardinals ballpark and interact with famous athletes, celebrities, politicians, rich people, business professionals, etc. I also observed him interacting with the ushers, the vendors, the office workers, security guards, and even fans in the cheap seats. He shared the same level of enthusiasm, attention, and concern with each person regardless of their position in life. He truly believed every interaction counted. After a conversation with him, people would walk away with the feeling that they were the most important person in the room. He practiced these 3 beliefs daily and effortlessly. I believe this was what differentiated him and made him as successful as he was. In closing, the entire Herron family, again, wants to thank you for this award. I know my dad would be just as proud of this award as any he's ever received, because this honor comes from the school, city, and the people that he loved. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Heron, for your words on behalf of your father. Mr. Heron, I have to add, I was a very unwilling senior photograph person of your father, Tim, and he was wonderful. He put up with me, and I was terrible, and I always meant to apologize to him, but I never did, and so I apologize to you on his behalf. But thank you very much for your words, and congratulations to your father, Jim Heron. What an incredible induction. And that brings us to our next inductee of the evening. This is an athletic inductee, Mr. Richard Keene.
Richard Keene, a 1992 graduate of Collinsville High School, is a Kahok and Illini basketball star whose high school and college years are forever part of local basketball history.
It was probably the 5th or 6th grade. He was playing CYBL, and you could tell he was a special player.
We were at practice, and Bob said to me, he said, hey, we're going to go look at a 6th grader play. And I thought that was silly. Why would we go do that? I had never seen a 6th grader play like that. He was ready to play varsity ball when he was in 6th grade. He was the best passer, best shooter. I mean, it was just amazing how good he was. And once we saw him, I couldn't wait for him to get to high school.
After averaging 22 points as a sophomore, Keene was beginning to get noticed by college coaches. Keene averaged 22 points again as a junior. As a senior, he led the Kahawks to the state quarterfinals, where they lost to the eventual state champion, Proviso East, by a score of 53-51. During the game, Keene gave Illini fans a glimpse of the future as he scored 29 points, including several shots that were well beyond the three-point line. He was named to the McDonald's All-American team, where he shared the backcourt with future NBA player and coach Jason Kidd.
Behind the back push from Jason Kidd to Richard Keene. Keene gets the three-pointer.
Keene was a parade All-American, St. Louis Post-Dispatch 1992 Player of the Year, and two-time member of the Illinois Class AA All-State team. Richard Keene was the 5th Kahawk to be named All-American, the only one in the past 56 years. The Kahawk record book is littered with Keene statistics. He is currently 3rd in career points with 1,968, 460 assists, and 1st in steals with 255, and made three-pointers with 265. He also holds the record for most consecutive free throws at 40. Keene missed 12 games with a broken wrist during his senior season, likely costing him the school scoring record. Legendary college basketball coaches Bobby Knight, Mike Krzyzewski, and Roy Williams were among those who made regular visits to Fletcher Gym to catch a glimpse of the smooth-shooting, slick-passing 6'6" Keene.
If you write down at that time the top coaches in America and say, okay, these are the best guys, they were all here. I mean, they were all here to watch him play. Roy Williams was here, Mike Krzyzewski, Bobby Knight, Lou Henson. I got a phone call from John Chaney, who was the coach at Temple at the time, and he called and he said, I'm just giving you a call. He said, we know we can't recruit your player, but he said, I want you to know, he said, your player is the best player in America. He said, bar none. He said, he's the best. I've seen them all, and there's nobody better than him.
After a heated recruiting battle, he chose to play for his home state at the University of Illinois, playing for legendary basketball coach Lou Henson. Keene led the Illini to 3 NCAA tournament appearances. He played in 122 games and was a model of consistency for the Illini, averaging between 8 and 10 points per game all 4 years. Keene was named captain in 1996. Richard Keene is one of a handful of Illini players totaling more than 1,000 points, 400 rebounds, and 400 assists during his college career. He left as the all-time leader in three-point field goals with 237 and currently stands 5th all-time. Bleacher Report ranks him as the 23rd best player in the history of the University of Illinois basketball, which dates back to 1906.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you to the committee for this honor. I really appreciate it. Also, congrats to everybody else going in tonight. It's really a special, cool evening tonight. I want to point out people with me tonight at my table. My mom's here, my Aunt Jane, my cousin Brad, my brother Scott, my wife Sarah, his wife Jennifer. Unfortunately, my kids couldn't make it tonight. My oldest RJ plays for Boise State. He's got a game at San Diego State this weekend that we're actually flying to tomorrow morning. My daughter Sophia, she's a volleyball player at Baylor, and she's finishing up her business degree right now. And she's going to do her grad year at Loyola Marymount in the fall, so it's kind of cool. My youngest Howie, he's at home also getting ready for the state playoffs, for the Texas state playoffs. He's a senior in high school, he's going to go play at Montana State. Also want to point out to Clay, it was really cool having those guys back at the Collinsville tournament this year. It was cool seeing him play at Virgil Fletcher Gymnasium at the Purple Palace. I think I was more nervous than Howie was watching him play, but it was really cool. And we appreciate your guys' hospitality, allowing a team from Texas to come up here and play. So that was awesome. For me and Sarah, you know, raising 3 Division I athletes, the importance of being in a community that cares about sports, have an administration that cares about sports, teachers that are invested in student athletes, and coaches that are willing to develop and make plays better. Is what we look for when we were looking for our kids in high school. And very fortunate that during my time in Collinsville, I had all that. And I want to thank all the fans that are here tonight that supported me, so thank you. Thank you to the administration at that time for supporting me. Thank you. And thank you to all the teachers that helped me along my way, that supported me. I know there's a couple here tonight. Mr. Hollingshead, his wife Cindy, who's also a big part. Thank you guys. And the coaches, it's a big deal because we raised 3 athletes, and we know I was very fortunate to play for Bob Bone and Dennis Pace. Were tremendous players in their own right, but also guys that just taught me a lot of things, you know, from a basketball standpoint, that it's not normal. So I appreciate those guys giving me that knowledge that to make me a better player. I saw Coach Bone's speech last year, and he talked about how Virgil Fletcher was a tough coach, and it kind of made me laugh. And I told Bob earlier I'd take it easy on tonight, because obviously we waited 33 years to do this, so I kind of forgot about a lot of things. But he was a tough coach, but he also, and I talked to a couple of players earlier, he instilled a lot of things that you don't realize when you're playing for him, or going through it, that you understand, that he instilled a lot of discipline, mental toughness, that I know made me a better player in college, because I was never nervous for a big game. And I think I contributed a lot of that to how those guys taught me and developed me in high school. Dennis Pace was another one, which was completely opposite of Coach Bone, in a good way. Another Hall of Fame inductee, tremendous person. But those guys, I was very fortunate to play for guys that were really good players that taught me basketball skills, but also life skills. And Coach Bone and Coach Pace, Coach Pace had little tips, tricks that he taught me. It was so cool. So looking back, when you're a kid, 17-year-old kid, you don't understand what you were going through. And I was extremely fortunate to have those 2 guys as my high school coach. So thank you guys so much for what you did. I think too, Coach Bone, I've never thought to thank you for, because I went through a crazy recruiting process, and all 3 of my kids have gone through it. So I've seen the other side of it, and I don't think I've ever, back then, it was the high school coach was the only one that handled recruiting. Nowadays, it's the AU coach, agents, NIL, all the craziness that goes on now. Coach Bone did a lot for me, was an advocate for me, know there's politics and stuff that goes along with it, to become a McDonald's All-American, to be ranked where I was ranked. So I appreciate everything you did. You know, one crazy story, my first official visit was at Duke. And I had Duke, Kansas, or not Kansas, but Indiana was my second official visit. I had them all laid up 6 weeks in a row. I did my official visit to Duke, came home, and I'm like, I'm gonna go to Duke. So I told Coach Bone, call Bobby Knight, let him know I'm not coming next week for my visit. And Coach made the call, and Bobby Knight's like, no, I need to hear from him. And I still to this day would never make that call. Because I was scared to death of Bobby Knight. So I'm so glad I didn't go. And I ended up at Illinois, had a great, I appreciate my time at Illinois. To the players, I mean, to the guys before me, I looked up to, you know, your Tom Parkers that are inducted, to your Kevin Stallings, to your Bogey Revens, everybody was around. We had people, we had goals to shoot for as a player. And I appreciate those guys being what they were. But I'd also like to point out my brother Scott, my cousin Brad. They were 4 years ahead of me when I was a younger kid, so I went to every one of their games. I went to Collinsville games as a kid, and that's kind of what built the passion for me to want to wear a Kahok jersey and be like those guys, to see them playing big games. So I owe them a lot of credit. They were 4 years older, so I always played up against kids that were older than me, and playing with those guys, and I know they made me a better player. So thank you to you two for what you guys did. Here we go. Let's see. I can't see my notes anymore. I guess in closing, and to the players, we got a whole table full of guys over here: Kevin Denson, Chris Catton, Brian Reeves, Tim Pace, guys I played with. I built lifelong friendships with these guys. So we had amazing memories on the court, off the court. So looking back at my 4 years, I can't thank you guys enough for everything we did. I guess in final closing, it's kind of cool going in with the 1980 baseball team. I know they're coming up here next, or a couple from now, but my Uncle Russ was a very special person to me. I know they're very proud, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Richard Key. Very impressive. Okay, that takes us to our next inductee of the evening. Our next inductee is a distinguished inductee, Dr. Joan Rubitz. Dr. Joan Rubitz was a 1953 graduate of Collinsville Township High School who dedicated her life to nursing and the education of future generations of nurses. Shortly after graduating from St. John's Hospital School of Nursing in 1956, Rubitz contracted polio 1 year before a vaccine was developed. She was hospitalized for 18 months and would spend the rest of her life in a wheelchair. However, she did not let her circumstances limit or define her. She continued to live independently and work as a floor nurse. Joan Rubitz earned a Bachelor of Science in Nursing from St. Louis University in 1960 and became a clinical instructor at St. Louis City Hospital. After 3 years, she moved to Barnes Hospital as the Assistant Director in Nursing Service. In 1965, Rubitz was named Assistant Director of the Barnes Hospital School of Nursing. When she completed her master's degree in 1970, Joan became director of the Barnes Hospital School of Nursing. In 1975, Rubitz completed her PhD and joined the faculty of St. Louis University's School of Nursing. In 1977, she became assistant dean and was named their first lay dean in 1982.
I became dean in 1982, and the School of Nursing at that time was located in Glennon Hall, part of Glennon Hospital. And I negotiated at that time for a salary and a parking space. I got the parking space, not the salary.
Dr. Rubitz held that position for 22 years, becoming the longest-serving dean in the school's history. At St. Louis University School of Nursing, she expanded the curriculum to encompass advances in technology and long-distance learning, many years before those areas became the norm. Throughout her tenure, Dr. Rubitz advocated for gender, racial, and ethnic diversity among the staff. Joan Rubitz was named a 1965 Outstanding Young Woman of America. She was recognized as a Collinsville High School Alumni Achievement Award recipient in 1995. In 1997, St. Louis Archbishop Justin Regali appointed Dr. Rubitz to chair a commission studying teachers' working conditions and benefits. She received the 1999 No Barriers Award from the Gateway to a Cure organization. Dr. Rubitz served on a number of professional and community boards and consulted widely in the areas of conflict resolution and interpersonal communications. Dr. Rubitz received an honorary Doctor of Science degree from the University of San Francisco in 1991. Dr. Joan Rubitz lived her life as an inspiration to others in spite of her own challenges. She was a caregiver, educator, leader, mentor, and motivator for many people throughout her lifetime. Dr. Rubitz epitomized what it means to live the Kahok way. And accepting on Joan's behalf tonight is Kent Piccolo.
Joining me tonight is my cousin and fellow Collinsville High School graduate, Susan Naputi Worstenholm. Thank you. On behalf of the family of Joan Rubitz, we'd like to congratulate all of the other recipients tonight, the honorees. We'd also like to thank the Hall of Fame Committee for honoring Joan's lifetime dedication to the field of nursing and education. Joan touched so many lives, both within her family and friends, as well as the faculty and the students down at St. Louis University. She was an inspiration, and we all miss her dearly. When Joan was invited to address the Collinsville High School graduates back in 1995, she took exception to the famous Thomas Wolfe quote, "You can never go home again." She said, I have come home again. I believe that sentiment is exactly what this award is all about. Bring back to Collinsville the memories and the accomplishments of the honorees. I know that Joan would be honored and humbled to be home once more with a permanent place in the halls of Collinsville High School. Thank you.
Okay, so that takes us to our next inductee tonight. It is an athletic inductee, Mr. Craig Stahl.
Craig Stahl, a 1977 graduate of Collinsville High School, parlayed his standout youth and Kahok soccer success into prominence as a college and professional player. Stahl did not play high school soccer as a freshman or sophomore because he trained nationally year-round. For his junior and senior seasons, he opted to play for the Kahawks. He was named First Team All-Metro and First Team All-Southwestern Conference for both his junior and senior seasons. In his senior year, he was the first Kahawk soccer player ever to be named to the IHSA All-State team, as well as the high school All-American team. Following graduation, Stahl received a full scholarship to Rockhurst University. During his days at Rockhurst, he set a school scoring record with 59 goals, single season record with 29 goals, and a single game record with 5 goals. The single game record stands today. As a Hawk, Stahl was a 3-time NAIA All-American. He made 3 consecutive appearances in the NAIA National Championships and was voted MVP in 1979. Rockhurst finished second in the nation that year.
That's all Craig wanted to do was score goals. He didn't give a about anything else. And that's okay with me. And that's what I look for in a striker. And boy, he just loved to score. And he was selected 3 times in a row, and it was always based on his performance. It was based on his ability as a striker compared to everybody else in the country. And you know what counts most? Goals. And that's what he was best at. He could score. And every defender and every coach we played against said, you gotta stop Stahl. You gotta stop Stahl. Let somebody else beat you. And guess what? They couldn't stop Stahl, and nobody else could beat him.
Stahl was named to the 1979 USA World University team which competed in Mexico City. In 1981, he was chosen for the Midwest Olympic team that competed in the National Sports Festival in Syracuse, New York. Stahl was selected by the Wichita Wings in the 4th round of the 1980 Major Indoor Soccer League draft, but later chose to join legendary coach Pat McBride in the MISL Kansas City Comets. He played 3 seasons with the Comets. Following his playing career, Stahl became a high-level youth soccer coach and business professional with expertise in sales and marketing for consumer goods. He was inducted into the Rockhurst University Athletic Hall of Fame in 1999.
Here's Stahl. Stahl a shot. Blocked by the defender. Rebound. Oh, Benjamin hit the post. And D'Souza put it in. The Comets have scored with 3 seconds left in the game. I think it may have been the rookie Stahl that got it. We got to look at the replay. There you see Stahl, number 17. His shot was blocked by the defenseman. With 3 seconds left, Petrovic, the shot hit the post, and Stahl gets the goal. But Craig Stahl from Rutgers College, 4 games, 4 goals, scores with 3 seconds, 2 seconds. It's all over. The Comets win it 6-5, and there's the hero of the afternoon, Craig Stahl. Unbelievable play by the rookie.
All right, so we'd like to hear some remarks, Mr. Stahl, but I have to stop you because before we allow you to speak, we have a special message for you.
Craig, in case you don't recognize me, Coach Stokoe here. Craig, congratulations on being inducted into the Collinsville High School Hall of Fame. The only thing I've got to say is what the hell did it take Collinsville so long to bring you in? You were a great collegiate soccer player. You were a great high school soccer player. You're well-deserved to be in this Hall of Fame. So once again, Craig, congratulations and best wishes.
That's my man, Coach Stokoe. I tell you. You know, as I stand up here tonight, you know, I think it's safe to say that soccer came a lot easier to me than school, and I'm just being honest with you, you know, and it's evidenced by that. And so when I got my Hall of Fame letter in the mail, I about freaked out because it kind of said something like this. It said, "Dear Craig, congratulations on your selection into the Collinsville Unit 10 Academic Hall of Fame." I think, whoa, somebody got this wrong. And I'm thinking, no, I'm just kidding. I'm not trying to get anybody in trouble. But there's a lot of truth to that, right? And as I reflect back on my high school career, I didn't do myself any favors because I remember having Spanish class first hour. Now, who does that, right? I mean, it's 7:30 in the morning, you're still half asleep, and I'm trying to learn como yama yama yo, and I'm going, oh my gosh, this is going to be brutal. And then enters in Mr. Charlie Tuna Suarez. Remember Charlie? I love me some Charlie. And I remember Charlie coming over to me, and he goes, "Hey, Stahl, you know who I am?" And I go, yeah, you're my Spanish teacher. He goes, "No, you knucklehead, I'm the assistant varsity soccer coach." And I go, snap, I think I got this now. True story. Well, you know, that's history, but I can tell you, I still don't know how to speak a lick of Spanish, I'm just saying. My coaches always told me, you got potential. My teachers always told me, you got detention. And that's the way it was. And just all kidding aside, though, guys, you know, I stand up here tonight on this stage just so deeply honored and humbled by this great honor. There's just so many well-deserving athletes and civic leaders that have just come before us that we should be so proud as a community, and I'm just so grateful to be even in the same sentence with them. To my teammates, you know, guys, this honor is as much as it is yours as it is mine. Soccer isn't an I sport, it's a we, right? You know, we battled, we trained hard, we experienced the highs and the lows and the wonderful wins and the heartbreaking losses together. And those are the experiences that you don't learn in a classroom, you don't learn it reading a book, you only learn it on the soccer field or the basketball court or whatever sport you played. And those are the lessons that has taken me my entire career that I'm so grateful for, and I mean that seriously. And to my coaches, Willie Syme, I don't know if you know who that gentleman is. He brought soccer to Collinsville, and he first placed that soccer ball at my foot, and I was hooked ever since. George Mihalovic was my trainer in St. Louis, Yugoslavian, brilliant man. And I was just this ball of energy that he saw the potential. He brought the skill, taught me the knowledge, and that served me my entire soccer career, so I'm forever grateful to George. And then my youth coaches. I went to St. Louis to play. Soccer in Collinsville wasn't established in the mid-'70s. You had to go to St. Louis if you want to play with the Eagles, fly with the best players. And I was fortunate enough to play for a team called Collinsville Volkswagen, yes, Ruiz, and that club morphed into the great soccer club we know today as Scott Gallagher. So I'm forever grateful of those experiences. And for one of the coaches that's sitting here over there, my brother-in-law, John Schaefer. And John, I think you agree, those teams were not only the best in St. Louis, we had some of the best teams in the country. And then to my high school coaches, Charlie, Gary Rensing, Jim Strands, thank you for believing in me. Because it's that exposure in high school that allows you to get college coaches interested in you, and ultimately that is where I was afforded my scholarship to go on to Rockhurst and play for Coach Toko. And then soccer took a big turn when you go to college. You're in the big leagues then, right? And that gentleman, like I said, he just wasn't a coach, he was my mentor. He was my John Wooden, if you all know who I'm talking about, to Lou Alcindor. And to this day, I have the utmost respect for Coach Toko, because he cared for you just as evenly, if not more so, of how you succeed off the field as much as you do on the field. Because if it weren't for that guy, with my academic brilliancy, right, I wouldn't have ever made it. I'm telling you, he kept me focused, he kept me online, that enabled me to get my degree, and I'm forever grateful for that. But I can also tell you, and I'm going to kind of tell on myself here a little bit, if you will, I was there just a couple weeks ago for the Rockhurst Hall of Fame. And I said, Coach, come here. And I go, do you understand you're responsible for my life's most embarrassing moment? And he looked at me and said, really? And I go, yeah, really. So I told him the story. And he goes, oh, no, you ain't going to pin that on me. And I go, oh, yes, I am. So, I mean, it's a funny story. And if you want me to tell you, I'll tell you. I'll tell on myself. We used to practice after school at 3:30 to 5:30. You know, during the season. And we used to have these school-issued practice wear. I mean, they were awful. It was like a reversible shirt, blue and yellow, that you can wear for scrimmage, and it came down about here. You looked like you had a midriff on. I'm really, seriously. And these razor-thin gray shorts and white socks. Anyway, we looked like really a prison chain gang out on the field. I mean, that's really how it looked like. Well, anyway, one day, Coach was mad, and I'm a freshman at Rockhurst, and he kept us at practice up to the 9th hour. I mean, we had to run straight from the field to the dining hall, otherwise we'd miss our meal. And I'll never forget being a freshman. You're just trying to fit in, act cool, you know, and learn, meet new friends. And I remember getting my tray, my dinner tray. You know, go up to the meat counter, and I got a cheeseburger, and then I got a beverage, and then I'm walking out in front of the whole student body. And before I knew it, the soccer class clown did. And I'm sitting there going, oh my God, I'm just with my class in front of the whole student body. And I'm going, oh my God. And I just kind of really realized now why I was never ever to get a date when I was at Rockhurst, just because of that event. It's like, hey, Susie, you want to go out Friday? Oh, hell no, I ain't doing that. True story. I mean, those are the memory. I do need to thank one last coach, Pat McBride. He's obviously acknowledged in my video. And for Pat, if you don't know Pat, he's sadly unexpectedly passed away a couple months ago. But he was a true legend to the game of soccer, an ambassador to the game. Not only to soccer, but to the St. Louis soccer. So I'm so forever grateful that he gave me the opportunity to play professional soccer. So thank you, Pat. And then finally, Finally, to my family, to my mother and father, lifelong residents of Collinsville, 80 and Jackie. They work 2 jobs around the clock so that they can afford my sister Diana to pay for her figure skating, which is very expensive, and to run me all over God's creation in St. Louis 4 nights a week to play soccer. So I'm forever indebted and thankful to my mom and dad. And then lastly, to the 2 most important ladies in my life over there, my lovely, wonderful sister Diana and my beautiful bride Misty. Ladies, this isn't about as much as to say thank you, but just to say how much I love you and how thankful I am that you're in my life. I really mean that with all my heart. And then lastly, I just want to thank again the selection committee. I'm so deeply honored, but we as a community, as Collinsville, when you look truly at the output of talent that has come through this tiny city called Collinsville, we have so much to be proud of. I mean, don't we? I mean, it's truly amazing. Gold medal winners, pro athletes. I mean, it's just on and on and on. So for me to, again, to be just mentioned in the same sentence, I am very deeply honored. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.
Muchas gracias, Senor Stahl. Mr. Suarez was my Spanish teacher. I learned a little bit more, but not much. I will also say, though, Mr. Suarez's grandson is here tonight. He's at one of the student tables. Anyway, so I think that's wonderful that our tradition continues of this small town of Collinsville and the community that we are. So thank you very much, Mr. Stahl. Congratulations. And that takes us to our next inductee tonight. Our next inductee is a distinguished inductee, and that is Mr. Carl Monroe.
February 11, 1973, Collinsville, Illinois. This is an interview with Carl Monroe, who is publisher of the Collinsville Herald. Carl, would you tell me about the lynching back in World War I as much as you can remember?
Well, if I remembered it, I'd be older than both of us.
Carl Monroe, a 1933 graduate of Collinsville Township High School, moved to Collinsville with his family in 1917 when his father purchased the local newspaper, the Collinsville Herald. His father, James O. Monroe, would go on to be a state senator. His brother James became a judge. Carl was quoted as saying he grew up with public affairs being argued at the breakfast table all the time. In 1930, at the age of 15, while still in high school, Carl began his journalism career. The following year, he covered his first basketball tournament. Monroe graduated Phi Beta Kappa in 1937 with a degree in English and history from Illinois College. Later in life, he completed graduate studies at both Washington University in St. Louis and St. Louis University. As a lifelong journalist, Monroe wrote hundreds of articles, editorials, and news columns. He was a sports reporter for the Collinsville Herald from 1930 to 1933 and general reporter beginning in 1937. Between 1954 and 1977, he served as editor, publisher, and president of the Herald. After the paper was sold in 1977, Carl remained its editor until 1980 and continued to write stories and a column until April 1985. Under his guidance, the Collinsville Herald made it clear that Collinsville was a great place to live, work, and do business. People who read the Collinsville Herald were foremost in his mind. Readers knew that citizens with a problem could count on the Herald to help get it resolved. In addition to his many years at the Collinsville Herald, Monroe taught English and social studies at Collinsville Township High School from 1940 to 1942, worked as an inspector at the St. Louis Cartridge Emerson Electric War Materials Plant from 1942 to 1944, and served in the United States Army from 1944 to 1946, where he attained the rank of first lieutenant. Monroe served as president of the Illinois Press Association, the International Society of Weekly Newspaper Editors, and the Southern Illinois Editorial Association. He was named both Illinois Editor of the Year and Illinois Journalist of the Year by the Illinois Press Association. He was honored with a Master Editor Award from the School of Journalism at Southern Illinois University Carbondale and the SIUE Distinguished Service Award. He also immersed himself in community affairs. Carl Monroe served on the Madison County Board of Regional School Trustees, the Friends of the Cahokia Mounds Museum Board, the Madison County Historical Society, the Collinsville Chamber of Commerce Board, the Collinsville Public Library Board, as well as many other civic and regional organizations. He was a recipient of many awards, including the Collinsville Lions Irving Dilliard Award, the Collinsville Progress Award for Historic Preservation, and the Collinsville High School Alumni Achievement Award.
So much for that.
And accepting on Carl's behalf tonight are Kay Monroe and Mike Monroe.
There's a hugely popular film that Kay and I suspect nearly everyone here tonight has seen a time or two, Love Actually. It opens with the actor Hugh Grant in his role as a newly elected British Prime Minister musing about love. Over a screen filled with scenes of passengers at the arrival gate at Heathrow Airport, hugging, laughing, joyous as they greet one another, Grant's Prime Minister tells us that even in a world most people believe is filled with hatred and greed, love is everywhere, and the arrival gate proves it. Whenever I see that film, I think of a piece our father wrote for the Collinsville Herald on the day before Thanksgiving of 1976. The headline of that 50-year-old As I See It column was, "The best things in life are free. Be grateful." Dad cited, among other things, the warm greeting at the airport after a long separation, the touch of a hand saying more than words when bad news comes, and the total trust of a successful marriage. Love, it seems, was even in Collinsville. Such wisdom and insight transcend generations, and Carl Monroe's grace as editor and publisher and columnist of the Herald for 35 years, we believe made him a community treasure. My dear sister Kay has chronicled our dad's career and some of the many accomplishments we believe moved the Hall of Fame committee to recognize him with this induction into the Hall of Fame. I yield the microphone to her.
And now that I've seen the video, I realize I'm being rather redundant in some of what I've prepared, but I'm going to go for it anyway. It's worth hearing again. Our father not only edited and published the Collinsville Herald for 35 years, but his community involvement helped preserve its traditions and build a foundation for future improvements. One wonders how he had time to run the Herald while serving as member of and president of a number of local organizations, including Illinois State Historical Society, director of Madison County Historical Society, president of Collinsville Red Cross, chairman of Collinsville Salvation Army, president of Madison County Board of School Trustees, director of Collinsville Chamber of Commerce, and Lions Club member. He was recipient of the Irving Dilliard Award and a special award from the Historic Preservation Committee of Collinsville Progress, Inc. Beyond Collinsville, his involvement was equally extensive. He served as president of Illinois Press Association and president of Southern Illinois Press Association. He was named 1968 Editor of the Year by Northern Illinois University. Under his leadership, the Herald received so many journalism awards that the family didn't know what to do with all the trophies and plaques after our parents passed away, and I'm still trying to pass them out to the younger generations. Eventually, Dad's newspaper influence became national as well as international through his membership in the International Society of Weekly Newspaper Editors, of which he was, of course, president and recipient of its highest honor, the Eugene Survey Award for Lifetime Achievement. Through this organization, he became friends with editors and writers all over the country and across the globe. He and our mother joined group members on tours through Asia, Canada, England, Scotland, and Ireland. They had friends all over the world due to Dad's membership in this international organization. It was easier for him, actually, to speak frankly with friends and others across the country and around the world because he did not have to tiptoe around local egos while doing so. He walked a fine line in his local community because he was committed to reporting the news honestly, and that sometimes rankled. I get a kick out of a quote from one As I See It editorial. If a newspaper doesn't have at least one libel suit hanging over its head at all times, sometimes someone at that paper isn't doing their job. Self-discipline was key to our father's way of life. Anyone present of a certain age may remember his daily runs because he was a long-distance runner long before running became a thing. His daily schedule always included his run. He trained seriously in 1979 for a St. Louis half marathon and then completed it despite a fall that broke his left arm and left it in a cast. The Herald's editorial cartoonist signed the cast with a message quite timely for 1979, send the Ayatollah to a Who concert. In spite of all his activities, awards, and honors, our father remained modest about his accomplishments. He did seem to enjoy telling me, though, that when getting ready to leave for vacation one time, he wrote 5 As I See It columns in 25 minutes. A remarkable journalistic feat that has stayed with me these many years. His guiding principle as a journalist and an individual was to do right by everyone. We believe he succeeded. Were he still with us, we're sure he would have shared credit with many of his Herald colleagues, and most importantly, with his beloved wife, Mary, who tolerated his long hours of work and community engagement, and even his running. Without a doubt, he would have written another As I See It column to express just how humbled he is to join the likes of dear friends previously inducted, amazingly special friends such as Irving Dilliard, whose counsel he so often sought, Coach Virgil Fletcher, who had been a classmate and friend at Illinois College, and Lucille Stamen, who shared his passion for Collinsville history. My brother Mike and I, and our extended family, want to express our gratitude for Carl Monroe's Kahok Honor of Distinction.
And that leads us to our next inductee of the evening. And our next inductees are athletic inductees, and it is the 1980 baseball team.
Russ Keene became the Kahok head baseball coach in 1978 and started scheduling games against the elite Chicago schools to change the program's mentality and prove the Kahawks could compete at the state level. And it worked. In 1979, a young Kahawks team fell one game short of the state tournament. The stage was set for the 1980 season, and expectations were high.
The foundation was set with this team way back in our freshman year, but with our junior year, after the disappointing loss in the sectionals, we were one out away from going then. We knew we had a very good opportunity.
We played together for a while, like through Corey League and freshman, sophomore, junior. So we knew we had what it took, and everybody worked really hard.
The team waltzed through the regular season with a record of 26-4-1 and a Southwestern Conference championship. The Kahawks breezed through regional and sectional competition with solid pitching, strong defense, and clutch hitting. Now the team was headed to the state baseball tournament in Springfield, where no Kahawk had been since 1949. In the state tournament, the Kahawks beat a tough Oak Forest team 3-2 in the quarterfinals.
We had Oak Forest to play first, and they had a pitcher that got drafted by the Yankees.
About 6'5", left-hander, and he was 17-0 and had been drafted that year. So I remember just before the game, Coach Keene came back from exchanging lineups at the plate, and he told us that their coach had decided to save Bartolomucci for game 2.
Oak Forest decided to sit him because they decided they were going to beat us that first game and keep him for the second game.
And coach looked at us all and said, let's not give him a game 2.
The Kahawks faced arch rival Edwardsville in the semifinals.
Edwardsville and Collinsville in the semifinals of the AA Boys State IHSA tournament.
It was a wild game that lasted 3.5 hours, and the Kahawks emerged victorious by a score of 12-7.
Pitch to Wilson. Bouncy ball right side, make it through. It does, a base hit. Rounding third, the runner coming home before the plate. He is safe.
The Kahawks pounded 15 hits, with Todd Miller and Barry Wilson collecting 3 hits each. Mike Heflin, Vince Plantz, and Scott Carson each had 2 hits. Heflin hit a 2-run homer in the 7th inning to add some insurance, and Mark Campbell relieved Jeff McDaniel on the mound to seal the win.
Mike Heflin steps in. He is 1 for 4 today. 426 hitter, the right fielder for the Collinsville Kahawks. Hellman at the belt, checks the runner at first, no lead at all. The pitch, a high fly ball, deep to left, way back it is. Gone, a home run from Mike Heflin over the 360-foot mark. Mike Heflin took it downtown, a 2-run homer, and the Kahawks now lead 10-5. Oh, he hit that ball, and he leaps in the air as he comes down from third base to the plate. The whole Kahawk team out to greet him.
The Kahawks had a tall task in facing Bartonville Limestone at 29-8. The Kahawks would not be deterred. They never trailed during the game and coasted to a 7-3 victory. Campbell pitched 5 shutout innings in the win.
Coach Keene was certainly, he had a lot of confidence in us as a team. He had a very calming approach, never too excited. And I think that kind of played off on us as a team. We never really were rattled.
The Kahawks were crowned the 1980 Illinois Class AA champions with a final record of 33-4-1. Mark Campbell was the unanimous tournament MVP, winning all 3 games and pitching 16 innings in 2 days. Barry Wilson, Todd Miller, Vince Plants, and Mike Heflin were named to the all-tournament team. Campbell, whose fastball was clocked at 72 miles per hour, finished the season with a record of 15-0 with a 1.27 ERA. He won 22 games in a row to end his career.
He was an amazing pitcher. I mean, he was in the strike zone almost every pitch. If he wasn't in the strike zone, it was because I called for the pitch out of the strike zone. He just throwed strikes. He kept the ball a good location where hitters couldn't hit the ball.
Mike Heflin finished the season with a .411 batting average and set school records with 10 home runs and 45 runs batted in. Coach Russ Keene was named Coach of the Year by the Illinois High School Baseball Coaches Association.
Coach Keene treated us with incredible respect, and we were almost friends as opposed to coaches and players.
To be part of that history in Collinsville is certainly special. It'd certainly be a lot more special if Coach Keene was around to share this with us.
So please welcome to the stage members of the 1980 baseball team. They were, as you heard, coached by Russ Keene and Lou Etherton, and players Dave Berg, Mark Campbell, Scott Carson, Jeff Church, Alan Cooper, A.G. Dunaway, Bob Frayne, Mike Heflin, Mike Hunsinger, Jeff McDaniel, Randy McEwen, Todd Miller, Kent Parker, Vincent Plants, Robert Sanabria, Keith Rome, Barry Wilson, and Rod Woods. Congratulations on your induction.
I think Barry and I drew the short straws. I can read it. Good evening. I'm Mark Campbell. I'm going to lead this off, and then I'm going to turn things over to Barry here in a little bit, and he's got some comments. I came in tonight saying that I had one objective, and that was not to make my mom, our moms, upset. We didn't want to say anything embarrassing. But Barry reminded me I probably needed to, and my table reminded me, that I married my high school sweetheart. Barry married his high school sweetheart, and they were cheerleaders. So we got some of that from the groups prior to us. Okay, on behalf of the 1980 state champion baseball team, we'd like to thank the committee. We know there's a lot of deserving individuals and teams, and we really appreciate that, our number was called. We'd also like to thank our family members and others in the community that have come to join tonight to help us celebrate, especially our families. For most of us, we have kids, so we know the dedication it takes and commitment to run kids around and get them to various things so they can pursue their dreams. So our success is your success, and we certainly thank our families. We want to thank the coaches. We start off with Coach Smokin' Joe Spurgeon, who is no longer with us. If he was, we'd probably be out in the parking lot right now running drills. The few times that we do get together as a team and to share stories, it's undoubtedly our freshman year comes up, and what Coach Spurgeon meant to us as a coach. He certainly was a taskmaster, but he set the stage for what was about to come for us and what we were about to accomplish. We're certainly honored to have Coach Lou Atherton here with us in attendance tonight. Coach may not remember this, but I personally give him credit for helping me get on my pitching path in high school. It was out of desperation that he called my number because no one else on our sophomore baseball team could throw strikes. And so I certainly thank him for putting me in that position. And then, of course, head coach Russ Keene, who's no longer with us as well. And you could tell earlier when Richard was up here talking and about his accomplishments and how much Coach Keene meant to not only him, but how much he meant to all of us as players. And Barry and I certainly wish that Coach was here tonight because he could probably tell the story a lot better than the two of us are going to be able to. We all thought Coach was pretty laid back, certainly coming on the heels of Coach Spurgeon and what we went through our freshman year. And we didn't think he really had to do too much by the time we were seniors. You saw some of the clips and all that and what we were able to do our junior years and how close we got. But looking back on it and reading, a lot of the articles from the past, it's obvious we're wrong. He really did put a team together using the very unique talents of each player. The team approach played out in state for sure when almost every player had an impact in our semifinal win over Edwardsville. Coach Keene's tenure at the head of Collinsville baseball is likely unmatched. For a stretch of 5 to 6 years, Collinsville was the premier baseball program in the area, highlighted by our state championship in 1980 and the second place finish at state in 1983. The historians in here can certainly correct me if I'm wrong, but our state championship in 1980 would have been the school's first since the basketball championships in 1960 and 65. Not bad for a basketball-crazy town. Now on to the players. We thought it would be fun to go around the diamond and introduce members of the team. But first, I think we need to acknowledge and mention those players that are no longer with us. Rod Woods and Bob Frame. They'll always be a big part of our team. And I believe Rod's wife is here tonight. So thank you very much for joining us. Coach Keene called this first group of guys we're going to introduce his second line team. Not bench guys or non-starters, but team members that got to see a lot of action and had very specific roles. Barry and I were looking at one article where Coach Keene said, "I'd like for them to play at least one game a week to keep them sharp." And Alan Cooper earlier tonight mentioned that getting to play, actually getting to play, was a big deal. And we were 33, 4-1. So, these guys, the games they played, we won. So they were really good players. These guys were really good baseball players and probably could have started on most teams. So if you don't mind, I'm going to introduce them so that everybody gets a chance to meet the team. Jeff Church. Jeff. Alan Cooper. I call him A.G. Dunaway, but I think it's Al Dunaway. Ken Parker. And I don't think I missed anybody, but there are members of the team that aren't here. Robert Sanabria, Dane Simon, Jeff Lewis, and Mike Hunsinger. They would have all been part of this second line team, as Coach liked to call them. When I look back at the articles, you see their names everywhere. getting a hit here or scoring a run there, stealing a base or making a great defensive play in some of the most important games of the year. Brad Keen's going to get mad at me, but he should probably be up here on stage because he was our bat boy. I'm going to turn this over to Barry now, and he's going to continue around the diamond. Yeah. I should have done this. When I was talking about Coach Keen, I should have mentioned that we're honored to have Coach's wife Jane with us tonight. It's likely that a lot of the stuff that was part of that video, Jane provided in one fashion or another, maybe to Mark Alvers and his team for the videos. I'm sure she's got a lot of great memories like all of us do. So thank you, Jane. Oh, there you go. She's got a big box. All right, Barry.
You know, I told Mark today, I said, if I was you, I'd do a 35 font on the computer printer in
That would make
Arial.
more sense.
He did a good job. I did make mine larger. When we were trying to compile the information for tonight, some of the players said, a lot of them said, you know, all of us, we remember the state, we remember bits and pieces, but it was hard to pull up a lot of things and to be able to talk about it. And there was just a few things here and there. There was a girl named Janice Marks that gave me a scrapbook of our players, 79 and 80, that have newspaper clippings and headlines about our team and the important parts of the games. A lot of that information is telling our story tonight by using those scrapbook pages that came from Carl Monroe's Collinsville Herald. Now she's my wife of 40 years and a cheerleader. She was. And I'd like to thank her for that book. You know, back then there were no cell phones, no texting, no Facebook, no Twitter, no social media. The Collinsville Herald followed us. A guy named Rick Welly, well-known Collinsville name, he was the guy that followed us and reported what he reported. So we go around the diamond. I'm going to start with catcher Randy McEwen. Say a few things, and these came from the articles plus a few of our own. He was one tough catcher. We didn't have a captain, but he probably played that role. He never ended the game with a clean uniform. Never. He could hit the ball real hard. Rick Welly, a Collinsville Herald reporter that followed our games, printed, when he gets a piece of the ball, he can knock it from here to the Edwardsville courthouse. Randy went and played at Lakeland Junior College in Mattoon. Second base Todd Miller, he could not make it here tonight. He filled Doug Despain's shoes, position from the previous year. Doug was the only senior in 1979 that started with I call it Russ. He said it so well, the first line. First line and second line, where this is important, but the first line. So he took Doug's place that year. He was a very, very good fielder and hitter. He played well every time he was out there. He was very focused. He played ball at Wren Lake College and for SIU, Edwardsville. We keep going around the diamond. Scott Carson. Scott was Todd Miller's partner up the middle. He was a great fielder and a fierce competitor. He hit the number 2 spot and quite often made the pitchers pay for their mistakes. He went on to play freshman year at Western Illinois University and then his sophomore year at Lakeland College. Keith Throne, third base. Keith was a wall at third base and had a cannon arm. What I forgot to mention, I think Scott Carson said, Keith would get a ground ball, read the label on the ball, and then throw a cannon to me at first. I know because my hand would burn every time he'd throw it. Keith was a motivator in the dugout, and you could tell he enjoyed the game. He played baseball at Belleville Area College. Left field, Vince Plants.
He had more hair in those pictures.
He did have more hair. Vince was fast, had a strong arm, and could hit. He liked to compete. We all did. In a newspaper quote, it says, he ran so fast, this is Rick Welly, it was like a cheetah looking for their next meal. He was very fast. He played college baseball at Lakeland. A lot of us did at the same college, and our sophomore year a lot of us played together. And then went on to the University of Arkansas at Little Rock. Center fielder Dave Berg. David was fast and could run down a fly ball, any fly ball that was hit in the center. Hitting wasn't his specialty, but he was creative when he was at the plate. Is that right? That's good. Thank you. You might see David come to practice in a white van with flowers painted all over it. It's because his mom and dad owned Cullip Jennings Florist. He went on to attend the U.S. Naval Academy. What more do I say? Right field, Mike Heflin. His nickname was Hef, and it still is to this day. Pure talent. He had pro scouts attending our games. A power hitter, as you can see in his stats, good arm, and made opposing pitchers nervous when he stepped up to the plate. In a newspaper quote, Collinsville Herald, Rick Welly, it said that when Hef in the cleanup spot, he's hurted more home runs than any other player in Collinsville history. He went on to play his freshman year at Southern Illinois University at Carbondale, and then his sophomore year at Lakeland College. Pitcher Jeff McDaniels. As everyone knew Jeff could throw smoke, he recorded a lot of strikeouts. As the year went on, the better he got. When he was on the mound, we knew we were in good shape. He knew a lot of strikeouts. When Mark was on the mound, he had to stay lively. We'll get to that. He went on to play at Lakeland College. Pitcher Mark Campbell. Where's he at? Mark had a great year, as his record shows. As you heard, the most valuable player in our state tournament. He had a curveball that would make hitters look silly. A lot of people said he couldn't break the pane of glass with that, but it was just awesome. As quoted by 3 Southwestern Conference coaches in different articles by the Collinsville Herald, by Rick Welly, the other coaches said the same thing. When Campbell's pitching, he's just a smart pitcher. When you got McCune behind the plate calling the pitches, what else would you want? Mark went on to play basketball at Northeast Missouri State. Oh, one more thing. Mark holds the world record, now get this, for being able to throw harder at age 62 than he could in high school. Another Campbell record.
I thought this was going to be a roast. All right. We wouldn't let Barry talk about himself, so I'll close on Barry. Barry was our everyday first baseman. He was arguably one of our best pitchers as well, and he was recognized on all tournament teams and many all-star teams. He went on to play, as he talked about, in college with a lot of these guys. But I say all that's well and good because that was 45 years ago. The only thing we all care about right now is trying to remember if we ever got on Barry's bad side. As a funeral director, he's going to get the last laugh. All right, so in closing, we'll wrap this up. Time sure does seem to fly by. You know, I've been down to Collinsville Gym several times, and I've looked at the picture hanging up on the wall of our baseball team in 1980, and right next to it is the state championship team from 1941. And I can remember thinking, man, that's 39 years. Surely, somebody's going to win state again in 39 years. Well, it's been 45 years, and, we're still counting. So we thank you guys. Go Kahawks.
That brings us to our last inductee of the evening. And our last inductee tonight is also an athletic inductee, and that is Mr. Rick George. Rick George graduated from Collinsville High School in 1978. He was a three-sport Kahok athlete, lettering in football, basketball, and baseball. As a senior, Rick was a starter for that year's star-studded basketball team that finished third in the IHSA state tournament.
That's Rick George. It was quite a spark plug this afternoon, and there.
He went on to the University of Illinois, where he was a four-year letterman in football and two-time recipient of the school's Bruce Capel Award. Upon graduation from Illinois, he worked in college athletics on many levels. Rick had key roles at multiple universities, including the University of Illinois from 1982 to 1987. In 1983, he became the all-sports recruiting coordinator at Illinois, and in 1984, his duties focused solely on football. In 1987, George was hired as the University of Colorado's football recruiting coordinator and remained there until 1991. During his tenure, the Buffaloes won a national championship by defeating Notre Dame in the championship game.
Rick, I know that a little later on you will be walking around glued to a cell phone, and you'll be calling recruits during the game, is that right?
Yeah, but I don't call them unless there's a timeout because I don't want to miss any of the game. But yeah, we'll call some recruits today and say hello and let them know that even though we're in the biggest game of our life, we're still thinking about them.
And check to make sure they're watching.
Absolutely. If they're not watching, something's wrong.
He left the Colorado University Buffaloes in 1991 to become the Associate Athletic Director at Vanderbilt University. George remained at Vanderbilt through 1998, working in marketing and promotional strategies for the Commodores. While Rick began and worked in the college athletic world for the first half of his professional career, he stepped outside the box for the next 12 years. From 1998 to 2003, Rick ran a PGA Tour event in New Orleans. Upon moving to PGA Tour headquarters in 2003, he held several titles with the tour, including his last title of Chief Operations Officer. This groomed Rick to hold the same title at the Texas Rangers organization. He joined the Texas Rangers Major League Baseball organization in 2009 as their Chief Operating Officer. The Rangers won 2 American League championships during George's years with the team. In 2013, Rick returned to the University of Colorado as Director of Athletics.
So we're 3 weeks into the project now since we broke ground on May 12th, and we're making great progress. As you can see, we've torn down the bleachers in the north end zone and getting ready to put loge boxes and club seats in that area.
He has, in his time, spearheaded a $156 million athletic complex expansion, been named to the National Football Foundation Team of Excellence, served on the College Football Selection Committee, and most recently was named Athletic Director of the Year. Before we allow you to speak, we also have a special video message for you, if you could turn your attention for a brief moment to our screens.
Rick George, Bob Bodine here. Congratulations. What an honor it is to be inducted into your high school's Hall of Fame. After 35 years of friendship, it's been amazing to see all that you've accomplished. From recruiting and building a national championship team with the legendary Coach Mack at Colorado to transforming a struggling golf tournament into one of the premier stops on the PGA Tour, and then being promoted to run the Champions Tour and all operations then for the whole PGA Tour. Wow. I mean, that's a whole career for most people, but not you. You became then the president of the Texas Rangers during a time they needed it. And when you came in, you helped them not only in business as well as on the field, 2 back-to-back World Series. And then Colorado called again. This time, not just to coach, but to run the entire athletic program. What you've accomplished there, my friend, from elevating student athletes to improving facilities and bringing in the best coaches in the country, including Deion Sanders, is nothing short of remarkable. All I can say is, wow again. But what stands out most isn't just what you achieved, it's who you are, your faith, your dedication as an amazing husband, as a dad and a grandpa, the way you treat everyone with kindness and respect. That makes you Hall of Fame in my book, my friend, on so many levels. I'm so proud of you, Rick. I'm so proud to call you my friend. Congratulations on this well-deserved honor. You earned it. Love you.
Collinsville Community Unit District 10 High School HOF, which stands for Hall of Fame. Congratulations, Rick George. Hey, bud. You know, we first met when you were COO of the Texas Rangers, and I've enjoyed following your journey to where you are now at the University of Colorado, the program that you've resurrected and built there. Really, really talented stuff, man. You've motivated a lot of young men and women through athletics. You've also inspired and motivated many young men and women in our foundation's after-school program by being on our board for the last 13 years. You know, we're doing great work. You know this, and thank you for being a big part of it. Also, thanks to you, man. Thanks for being straight up, direct, solid, supportive. It's an honor to know you, and know this, every time I'm going to see you or get a handshake on howdy, I look forward to it. Here's to more. Congratulations.
Matthew didn't say anything about the bottle of tequila that he won from me, but that's another story. These two right here, Abby and Morgan, they told me stories. They told me that I was going to be on at 7:40. It's 8:50. I'm really not happy. But these two are what this is all about. Two high school seniors that get to take part of this. So thank you both. Clay Smith, I just met Clay for the first time, and that dude's got a shoe game, and his shoes are just on point, so you guys got to give him a raise for that. I was told we had 3 minutes to speak, so all of you before me screwed that up. Because we're all ready to go to bed, and you got to listen to me finish this shit tonight. So anyway, I'm very grateful to be here with all of you. I appreciate very much this honor to be inducted into the Collinsville High School Hall of Fame. And for the fellow inductees, congratulations. What a great night. You know, as you know, I listened to everybody tonight, and I got all these notes now that I don't even know what the hell I'm going to say. But we got amazing people here at Collinsville High School that have done incredibly significant things, and you all should be proud of that. I mean, I saw Tom Berg out there and Bobby Bone, who was an icon when I was here, and you know, he's done amazing things in his career. And Kim, you know, we knew each other. We both went to the University of Illinois. Just so many incredible people that are involved in Collinsville High School and Collinsville High School history. So I'm proud to be a part of that. I've been blessed in my life. I've experienced incredibly great things with an incredible family, a beautiful wife, granddaughters, my two daughters, my grandkids, the jobs that I've had in my career. I mean, if you think about this small town boy from Collinsville got to be the president of the PGA Tour, got to be the president of the Texas Rangers, got to be at the Champions Tour. It's not about me, it's God's plan for me and where he wanted me to go. And I'm so grateful and so thankful to have the experiences that I've had in my career. Collinsville High School was one of those blessings. You know, I started here in 1974. I was only here for 3 years. I came from Anderson, Indiana, and I came on as a cocky, I was really cocky, player when I came here. And, you know, I was going to change the world in basketball and football and baseball. And everybody embraced me. And it wasn't easy because I took somebody's spot when I was on the teams on the different sports that I played. But what I remember about Collinsville High School, and, you know, again, almost 50 years ago, was saying a lot because I'm getting old. But I had great teachers and I had great coaches, and they taught me a lot. Our coaches that I had were the ones who shaped and developed me. They taught me about being mentally and physically tough. They instilled discipline, perseverance, and accountability. They also had this thing when I played that, unlike today, we didn't have water breaks. And I credit Bob Hollingshead for that. He didn't think we needed water. God forbid. Again, can you imagine today if we didn't have water banks, everybody would be saying, oh shit, we got problems here. And so I appreciate, Bob, you giving me water every once in a while. But the characteristics that I just mentioned have really shaped my life and helped define who I am today. I try to instill these same characteristics in our student athletes, our coaches, and our staff. I had great coaches when I was at Collinsville. Frank Patol, who was mentioned before, was a great coach. Gino Catalpa, who always stole the beer, and I'll tell you a story about that in a minute. And then playing for the legendary Virgil Fletcher, and having that experience with him, he taught me a lot. And he was one of the really early leaders in helping develop my career. But when I talk about some of these things about accountability and all that, little known fact that most of you don't know is we got beat. We were 29-0 or 28-0 or whatever in 1977. And we got beat by a team that should never beat us, but they did. And the boys went back to the Champagne Hotel, and we decided that we were going to drink beer. Well, somebody ratted on us, and I mean, it wasn't me, of course, it was the other guys. And Joe Oslin may have been a part of that, and Steve Ray. I mean, they're not here tonight, so don't worry about that. But we got caught, and I can remember that we got caught, and we all said, yeah, we did it. Well, some of us did, some didn't, and still deny it today, but we know who they are. And we had a little bit of an issue, and we had all this beer in the tub, and I think Gino Catalpa brought that to his room, and they shared it and celebrated that. But I remember when we came back, and if you all remember back in the day, we had a parade with fire trucks and all this, right? I remember whispering to my dad or yelling to my dad, I'm suspended. Because Coach Fletcher said, you're done. You're not coming back to the team. Because I was one of the juniors that admitted that I maybe had a beer or whatever it was. But anyway, I had great coaches that held us accountable. Our football coaches that I had, Bob Hollingshead, who's here tonight, and I got to say hello to him, and I haven't seen him in a while, and I know he had a lot to do with this. L. Eschman and Lloyd Dunn, those guys were great mentors. They were incredible role models. They instilled a work ethic in me that I still have today, and I think a lot of that comes from my dad and from others. And then Russ Keene, we talk about him, and most people don't know that I played baseball. I was actually pretty good at it, but the 1980 team said I wouldn't have made it. I think I would have, and Tom Berg would have made it for sure. But Coach Keene was an incredible man and really was a great coach for me. I can't tell you how much I appreciate what they've done for me. They've given me the platform and the skills to have the success that I've had. I also want to thank my teammates like Joe Osla, Steve Ray, who flew in tonight. These guys, yes, these guys were better athletes than me. And why I'm standing up here and they're not, I have no idea, other than my wife told me, you're not getting into the Hall of Fame because of your athletic accomplishments. And I really appreciate her keeping me humble for that. But those guys, and then Scott Carson, I see Scott. Scotty and I used to have a great relationship. But anyway, I'm going to close. But I do want to say this. I really want to thank my parents who were on the back of one of the programs when I played. Dick and Shirley were amazing people. My brother Jeff, who's sitting over here. My sisters, Kim, Becky, Teresa, and Sherry, who are all here over there. They've helped me stay humble. They've helped me through my career. They gave me a lot of shit as we went along. our journey together. But I've got an incredible family, and family's probably, my faith and my family are the two most important things to me. And lastly, I want to thank my wife, my daughters, Jenny and Christy. Jenny's here, Christy couldn't make it. My son-in-law, Chris, my granddaughters, Harper, who is not here because, of course, she's in a volleyball tournament this weekend. And my beautiful Maddie right there. Come on, Maddie Claire, stand up. I love this little girl. But I want to thank everybody for this. This is awesome. It's great to see some of my old friends. And sorry I talked more than 3 minutes, but I didn't talk the 20 minutes that some others did. But I appreciate this honor. It really means a lot to me. Thank you so much for being here tonight, and go Kahawks.
First of all, Rick just said beer is on him tonight, so anyone who wants to stick around afterwards, thank you, Mr. George. Rick, thank you for your comments. I just have to say, given all of our inductees tonight, all of the stories, and everything we have heard from everyone here tonight, and to also, of course, think about the last 2 nights, I love this town, and I love this school. What a phenomenal place to be from, and I am so lucky to be able to share it with these people. So, yeah, Kahok Pride, amazing. Thank you to everyone tonight who attended. As I said earlier, it's because you coming here that this event happened, so thank you very much. I would actually also like to thank our food folks tonight. I think they did a phenomenal job. Hopefully your food was good. I'm always too nervous to eat, but it looked delicious, so thank you for all your work. Please mark your calendars for the next Hall of Fame induction ceremony. That will be held February 19th, 2026.